We are ready to invite to the stage Yossi Sassi and Dor Amit. Let's give them a warm welcome. Woo!
All right. Hello, everybody. Very good to be back in the afternoon together with my friend and colleague, co-founder of Tenor Security, Dor Amit.
Hi.
So today we're going to speak with you briefly, but very much to the point about the myths behind a command and control server, a command and control channel, and from our own personal experience as red teamers in 4 continents around the world, and show you what we really think about this as an approach. So the problem begins with perception, or rather lack of it. As you know, in this game, breaches are inevitable. Any organization will be hacked, given motivation and time. And the perception of many organizations, especially that invest in 7 figures, etc., or more, is that they have this gate, and they have the gatekeepers, and they're all protected. And that's a nice illusion. But in reality, when we come into an organization, whether it's a state agency or a financial customer or whatever, or a huge telecom, or a small company, we always see this reality. There is a gate, but there is things that we find that we can bypass the gate around it. So this is the real reality we live in. And of course, there is the known axiom that defenders, the blue teams, really generalizing, of course, but they think normally in lists. They just check boxes. That's how the tools are built. So the UI is even matching the mindset. While us, you know, attackers, adversaries, we think in graphs. We move laterally, and we can find the right path, shortest path to success. So with that said, let's talk about this myth. You obviously need a TCP/IP connection for a command and control server, right? I mean, UDP, TCP, row socket, whatever.
I'm not so sure, Yossi. You think the perimeter is enough to stop a connection to a remote target?
What are you saying? You mean, do we need a TCP connection for a CNC server?
I don't think so.
Can you explain? What do you mean?
Well, I think there are many methods, and there are assumptions that we need an active connection to the endpoint in order to gain a command and control. But today we're going to see some proof that it's not always the case.
All right, so you say it's not about an established connection, nor TCP, nor UDP, or whatever. Basically, what you're saying, it's a mindset.
Just
right?
a mindset, exactly.
Okay, I hear you. And I raise with...
You raise me?
Yeah, sure. So let's take an example. What do we know as an asynchronous mechanism? Store and forward, of course, email, SMTP, ta-da. What about your email client? Can Outlook really go raw on you and serve as a command and control channel?
It is.
It is. Okay. So let's give it a shot. So we did give it a shot. And we look at the machine. This machine that you see here in the demo has a folder, ctemp exfil, and there are a bunch of documents here, but we want the documents of a project called Project X. We want to exfiltrate it from the machine. And we have an Outlook account. As you can see, this Outlook is connected to a Gmail account. The sent mail, the sent items are blank. It doesn't have anything there, and just 2 items in the inbox. What we're going to do now is we're going to infect the machine with a small payload that I prepared in advance. And I'm going to show you the payload in a second, but then I'm going to show you how I'm going to attack this machine. All I do to attack this machine once I infected it is simply send it an email message. So somewhere from the world, somewhere from the internet, from any mail provider that I choose, I'm just sending a message. But pay attention that in the body, I'm looking recursively for all the files that match Project X, and I'm asking that to be the result of this payload. And I'm simply sending an email message from somewhere in the internet, and I'll switch back to our Outlook client. I deliberately delayed it a bit so you'll see what's happening. Pay attention that, yeah, you see for a second my message, and...
Wow, I'm shocked.
Yeah, can you believe it? It's magic. And now it's gone. Not only the message in the inbox is gone, but also the sent item, the proof for something that was sent is also deleted. And if we come back to our attacker machine, our attacker email client from the internet, you can see the exfiltrated document. So essentially, we got the document out, and the machine basically attacked itself from an asynchronous method with a day-to-day tool, such as an Outlook client.
Amazing.
And here you can see the loop. It's a very simple loop. It's living off the land. As always, we love living off the land. We don't want to introduce too much complicated stuff when we don't need to. It's just the simple Outlook object model. We're running a simple loop when we are looking at the sender. If the sender is the one that we are looking for, we just invoke expression. That's a simple PowerShell code. Then we create the message. We attach the results coming back, and after a couple of seconds, we also, after we see that the message was sent, we also delete the message from the sent items. So other places we can look at. What about the audit logs? There are so many of them, right? I mean, they're just collecting a bunch of stuff. We use them for reconnaissance. Naturally, we do. But what can we do something else about them?
I think, yes, Yossi. First, your demo was really, really impressive. And what I realized just now after seeing it for the first time is that this technique and other techniques usually involving the initiation of connection to the endpoint that we want to get control over, right?
Right, I need a connection somehow.
Yeah, it could be a reverse shell, HTTP, using application layer like HTTP, DNS, maybe a raw TCP socket. But eventually, if we have a perimeter control, this is at least the assumption in most places, right? Like a firewall or other filtering mechanism, it's going to block the connection. And if we have like a firewall rules that deny all inbound or outbound connection, we're going to have a problem even with this amazing technique, right?
Right. So I'm wondering, you mentioned firewall. So if I'm going to, if there is a firewall with deny all incoming, even deny all outgoing to this machine, can I do something about that?
I think we can.
Okay,
what if we could, let's talk about the idea first before we see a nice demo. And what if you could take the payload that we want to transfer, convert it into a byte array, and then use this byte array to spoof a list of IP addresses and then address this endpoint, this target, with this list of spoofed IP addresses. The connection, of course, is going to be dropped because the firewall configured to deny all connections, right, all inbound connection. But it's going to have this spoofed IP address that contain the converted payload inside the log.
So I think it sounds complicated. I think I need to see it.
You need to see a demo?
Yeah, if you will.
Okay, just because you asked.
Thank you.
Okay, so is it playing?
No, now it is.
Okay, great. So what we're going to see now is the target machine, and we're going to witness that the firewall indeed have a deny all inbound connection, and trust me, it also have the outbound rules as well. Okay, we can see some demonstration of the log files, okay, and see that we have block traffic. Open sesame. Okay. And here we have a drop UDP connection, and soon enough we're going to test it in a live within an ICMP request with a ping request from a different workstation. Here I enabled as well the GPO mechanism for auditing data in the event log, which is the audit filtering platform, only for failure events. That's enough. So let's do a ping to this target machine and see what happened.
Okay.
All right.
I'm a bit scared. What's going to happen now?
I'm scared as well. Nothing working.
At least you're here, so I'm not too scared.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, let's go back to our target machine and see what happened. So actually, the auditing in the log file is going to have a little bit of a delay because of the mechanism Windows Firewall is working. But if we go to the event log in just a second, okay, refresh it, and then we can see a lot of audit failure events. And as you can see, we have as the source address, my address. This is the target address, and the destination port. And protocol is 1, which is stand for the ICMP. Okay, we can see indeed it was blocked. And when we go again to the file log, we can see here we have a dropped ICMP connection. So the firewall indeed blocked all the connection, all the inbound connections. All right? So what we can do now, we first clear the log. So when we establish our method, we can see it more clearly without the noise, okay? We go back to the source machine, and over here, I'm going to run a command. We're going to see it soon on the screen, and then I'm going to stop the video for a just short period of time and explain what we're going to witness, okay?
Is that some kind of a crafted packet or?
Exactly. So what we're going to do now, it's actually the following thing. We're going to take the following command, which is a PowerShell command, okay? Get date, which will give us the current date, and put it and write it into a file, okay? Into a text file inside of the directory of ctemp and the rest of the text that you see over here. Okay? If the file is not existing, it will be created because we have the force parameter. Okay? And this command is going to be converted into a byte array and then to the spoofed IP list. Okay? And then the agent that I already pre-installed on the target going to take it, convert it back into the text, and invoke it using PowerShell interpreter. Okay? Now, we have a little bit of a problem because if we send a lot of raw data like this, a lot of spoofed IP addresses, how can I recognize that we reach to the end of the payload and we don't just having additional IP address that comes from some connections over all the place? What do you think, Yossi? What we need to do?
Yeah, I think there's a problem here because it needs to be sequential, right? Even that you send those bytes and as spoofed source addresses, you still need to...
we need some signaling mechanism, right?
Yeah, I think you probably... Did you do that already, or...?
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Yeah, I did. You see, Yossi, I thought about it advanced.
Yeah, I know you think about stuff.
Yeah, lucky me. So we have here the magic end packet. So what is the exactly magic end packet? This is a special crafted IP address, which will be 55.55.55.55. This is just a random IP address that I chose. And this is going to signal my agent on the target that this is the end of the payload and you need to take all the spoofed messages until this exactly event and then convert it to the payload and run it. Okay. So let's go back. We just initiated the command. Let's go back to my target machine and see what happens. So as you can see, my temp folder is now empty. It's got nothing inside it. But we got all the messages, and see, we got here all the spoofed IP addresses, which has a benefit on its own, because right now, if someone will investigate this thing, you won't be able to know whether it's just a random IP address or not. And here, the file was created.
Got the file, and that's the magic end packet.
Here is the magic end packet, exactly.
Okay.
Now, wait, before you continue, I want to mention something. You see the source port, the destination port are 0, and the protocol set to 6. This is the convention that tells my agent inside of the target that all of the IP addresses, okay, that initiated connection with this pattern, with this convention, are belonging to the same payload. So in addition to my magic end packet, okay, that we see over here, we have for all the packets the same pattern, so we can get them together inside the origin payload.
So basically, not only did we spoof who we are, we spoof the identity of the attacker, we also get the payload executed just by dropping, so by the defenders are basically attacking themselves.
Exactly, and as you can see, Yossi, we got the log file that was created with the date inside, with the current date, and what can we learn from this information, Yossi?
I see it's 1 a.m.
Which means I need more sleep time,
You need more sleep
time. I need a vacation.
Definitely. Yes. We'll speak about that vacation in a short while. Very cool.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. That looks really cool. So how about people that don't have, they have air-gapped networks, so you need to bypass those perimeters without an internet connection whatsoever. So this can be nice once we infect one machine also in a closed network. But there are other mechanisms, physical things that we can, with physical access today, cyber-physical, kinetic to cyber, and cyber to kinetic is attacks that we see all the time and we perform all the time. So there are a bunch of tools, some commercial, some that we can build and we build by ourselves. Those that can connect via USB or directly to RJ45 and then connect to some other Wi-Fi or GPRS or whatever. We can also use some passive equipment that can also run payloads. So basically we can prepare the payloads in advance and just make sure that this equipment does that. Or we can also do, if we have physical access to an equipment, for example, you can go to the projector or to a machine, to a screen, a PC's screen, and just perform man in the middle with a box, an HDMI man in the middle.
You can hack my projector, Yossi?
I can project your hack, yeah. I can. We're not projecting the hack, but you can also hack the projector.
I see.
And think about it, about meeting rooms in very confidential and strict places, etc. And also with cell phones. What we can do with cell phones, we can pair them like we did. In one attack, we paired a very simple phone in a Bluetooth connection with the machine in proximity, and basically attacked that machine with text messages. So we would send text messages, they would be sent in Bluetooth to the paired device, executed in the network, and then send the information back to us. What about Wi-Fi? What about, just random SSIDs going around? What can they do to us? What do you think?
Well, I think there is a lot of potential. You come up with an idea how to exploit that?
Yeah, I think we should research that. Yeah, we did that. Okay.
So share with me, please.
Yeah. So this example, I'm going to use. I just put this payload on a rubber ducky, but I'm going to just connect that. And what this does is essentially, as you see, the first line of code is essentially running an elevated process with PowerShell. And what it will do now is essentially run a very short function. That what this function does. Wait a minute, catch the magic. Let's close the window behind, and then we come back. Of course, when we do it really, we don't have even this window.
I think you stole my magic packet, Yossi.
Yeah, I reused it. I abused the abuser. And what we do here is, for now what the machine is doing is listening. As you can see now, it's connected to some networks, and it's listening in the background to looking for SSIDs in range. And I'm going to open my mobile hotspot sharing, and I let the machine read periodically every few seconds, refresh the Wi-Fi networks in range. And as you can see, a payload was executed here, right? So my payload was just whoami/priv, but every command I will run now for my SSID, it's looking for a very specific SSID. As you can see, I'm not connected to the machine. The only thing it's running is it's looking for an SSID with some sort of pattern, and you can actually use that and abuse that in a variety of ways. For example, you can prepare some functions.
Actually creating a macro of commands that just run initiated
whenever
you want.
We can just pre-create the functions. For example, a function that crawls in files around the organization and uses some regex patterns, and we can just send a guy with an infected mobile, even without his knowledge, just to pass in proximity of that machine, and it will attack itself. And I now changed the name of the network, as you can see, to something else. And of course, we couldn't end this session without a calc. So we had to pop a calc. So to summarize, all it takes really to hack any organization in the world is for you to be creative, be the Disney of your cyber operations. Motivation and time is all it takes.
If you can dream it, we can make it.
If you can define it, we can do it. The hard part is for you to define what you want. Humans, Correlate signals, please. Don't just look at network connections and processes, the EDR here, the firewall there. Challenge your blue teams, make them raise the bar to the next level, because today it's maybe script kid is copy-paste, tomorrow it can be somebody as creative as Dor, and he is very creative. And so get creative with your red team. It pays. It pays your bills, first of all, because it's a job. It also pays off because it's effective and it's fun, as you saw. And remember that we lose and win with points. There are no knockouts, no silver bullets in cyber. Always challenge yourself. Always be humble with the abilities of the other side, whether it's the blue teamers or the adversary. And just enjoy and have fun. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.